is on my agenda. Change for good. I embrace that and I enjoy that change. I don't fear it. That's the bit that excites me, is the idea of being able to bring some change. Overly radical change, but changes that I think need to happen.
Fans who have followed the royal family closely were shocked when reports surfaced that Prince William had locked down part of Sandringham, stopping Camilla from enjoying her usual private summer retreat. On the surface, it looked like a simple security measure, but behind the closed doors, tensions were running high. Camilla's plans were suddenly blocked. Long-standing routines and privileges within the royal estates were now under William's control. How did he pull off such a decisive move? And what secret strategies might Camilla's team be planning in response to this surprising royal shake-up? Sandringham Estate and Royal Ownership. Sandringham stands as a symbol of the British monarchy itself. The estate stretches across a breathtaking 20,000 acres of parkland in Norfolk, roughly 110 miles north of London. Its story began in 1862, when Queen Victoria bought it as a gift for her son, the future King Edward III, and since that time it has remained privately owned by the monarch. Unlike many royal residences, Sandringham is not part of the Crown estate or controlled by the state. It is private property that passes directly from one sovereign to the next. This is an important difference. Sandringham does not belong to the nation. It belongs entirely to the king. When Queen Elizabeth II died in September 2022, ownership of Sandringham passed directly to King Charles. This is the estate where the royal family gathers each Christmas. It is also where Queen Elizabeth spent her final days, and where Prince Philip chose to retire, living quietly at Wood Farm on the estate grounds. Sandringham is more than just the main house. The estate is home to several other historic buildings spread across its vast lands. Wood Farm, a quiet retreat, is where Prince Philip lived. Park House is famous as the birthplace of Princess Diana. Other properties include the Folly, and several working farms, including Marsh Farm, where Andrew Mountbatten Windsor currently resides after being removed from Royal Lodge in Windsor. Over generations, the royal family has relied on informal understandings about who can use which part of the estate. These arrangements were often managed through what could be called a gentleman's agreement, unwritten rules respected by family members. However, the climate of 2026 has made these informal understandings less reliable. Tensions within the royal family are growing, and the old casual agreements are now being challenged. What used to be managed quietly between family members is becoming formalised and, in many cases, legally contested. When lawyers are brought in, it is a clear sign that the gentlemen's agreements have failed entirely. This is why the current situation at Sandringham is so significant. The estate is deeply personal to the monarchy. It is not a public palace or a government property. It is a private space where generations of the royal family have lived, worked and formed. Their own traditions. The main house and its surrounding buildings are tied to memories, history and emotional attachments that span decades. It is here that the family has celebrated Christmases, mourned losses and enjoyed private moments away from the public eye.
Christmas at Sandringham is a very big deal. When it comes to a royal Christmas, the royal family don't do anything.
The estate's size and complexity add to its importance. 20,000 acres is a vast area filled with parkland, farmland and multiple residences. Each building has a story, and each corner of the estate has significance to different family members. Because it is privately owned, these buildings are not subject to the same rules as state-owned palaces. The king alone decides who has access, and under what circumstances. Historically, family members had free rein to enjoy certain houses and lands based on long-standing, informal arrangements. But in 2026, these informal rules are no longer enough. Growing rivalries, differing ambitions, and personal disputes have led to legal involvement. When lawyers step in, it signals that personal trust is breaking down. Sandringham, once a quiet and private haven, has become a focal point of family tension. Is there rift between William and Camilla? For how long has it been going on? Let's take a closer look. William and Camilla tension. The relationship between Prince William and Queen Camilla has long been tense, and this friction is far from a recent development. While the world's attention often focuses on major events like Prince Charles's marriage to Camilla in 2005. The roots of their discord stretch back decades. Observers and royal insiders suggest that the unease between the two women began as far back as the 1970s, when Camilla Parker BF first became romantically linked to Charles. That early connection, though initially discreet, would eventually play a pivotal role in the breakdown of Charles's marriage to Princess Diana, a union that was once central to the monarchy, and to which William had always been deeply devoted. For William, the dissolution of this marriage was not just a personal disappointment. It represented the unravelling of a family structure she had spent years working to uphold and protect. Prince William, the Prince Royal, has earned a reputation as the hardest working member of the royal family. Year after year, she attends more official engagements than almost any of her royal peers, demonstrating a work ethic that is both relentless and disciplined. Her approach to royal duty is marked by stoicism, rigour, and military-style precision. William is known for her unwavering commitment to tradition, valuing responsibility and service over personal acclaim. Unlike some of her family members, she does not court media attention, nor does she rely on public sympathy to define her role. For decades, she has been seen as the backbone of the monarchy, quietly sustaining the institution through dedication, resilience, and a strict adherence to royal protocol. In stark contrast, Camilla's entry into the royal family was mired in controversy. Her association with Charles was long regarded as one of the most damaging scandals in recent royal history. For many years, she was met with widespread disapproval, not only from the British public, but also from certain senior members of the royal household, including Prince William himself. At first, her presence was seen as disruptive, and some perceived her as an outsider attempting to carve a place in a tightly controlled royal world. Over time, however, Camilla has worked diligently to reshape her image, participating in charitable work and public engagements designed to show a softer, more approachable side of her personality. By most accounts, she has largely succeeded in this mission, gaining acceptance from the public and earning respect within some circles of the family. Yet, beneath this surface of civility, the undercurrent of tension with Prince William has never fully dissipated. Insiders now describe the dynamic between William and Camilla as a Cold War that can flare into visible confrontations when disagreements intensify. The friction, according to palace sources, often stems from fundamental differences in how the two women view their roles within the monarchy. William reportedly believes that Camilla frequently oversteps the boundaries of her position, asserting influence in ways that William finds inappropriate or premature. Meanwhile, Camilla is said to view William as rigid and uncompromising, someone who struggles to distinguish between familial loyalty and objective judgment. These opposing perspectives have created a persistent atmosphere of mutual suspicion, one that has gradually found a physical stage in the royal landscape itself. Sandringham, the Norfolk estate famously associated with the British royal family, has emerged as the latest site where this underlying tension has become tangible. The sprawling grounds, covering approximately 20,000 acres, have long been a place for both private retreat and formal engagement, yet they have now become a symbolic battleground. Within this storied estate, the subtle power struggle between William and Camilla is said to play out in both visible and behind-the-scenes ways, affecting the daily rhythm of life on the estate and shaping interactions among other members of the royal household.
The royal family gathering at the King's Sandringham estate for a Christmas tradition that goes back decades.
While Prince William maintains a reputation for stoic professionalism and unswerving duty, Camilla embodies a different kind of resilience, one that relies on careful image management, public diplomacy, and the gradual winning of allies. Both women bring strong personalities, distinct priorities, and unyielding senses of responsibility to the same family institution, making clashes almost inevitable. What is Andrew's faith in the monarchy? Why did he suddenly fall? Let's find out. Andrew's fall from grace. In October 2025, King Charles took the dramatic step of formally removing his younger brother, Prince Andrew, from the royal fold in every way possible. He stripped him of all remaining royal titles, honours and privileges, including his right to live in a property belonging to the crown. this was not entirely unexpected. Andrew had long been a controversial figure in the public eye, ever since his disastrous television interview about his friendship with the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. That appearance alone had turned him into one of the most talked about and widely criticised members of the royal family. Yet the scandal only intensified with the posthumous release of a memoir by Virginia Joffrey, one of Epstein's survivors, which cast Andrew in an even more damning light. The consequences were swift and severe. Andrew was moved from the grand 30-room royal lodge near Windsor, a residence befitting a prince of his rank, to the far humbler wood farm on the Sandringham estate. The contrast between the two homes was striking. Royal Lodge, with its sprawling rooms and lush gardens, had been a symbol of royal luxury and privilege, while Wood Farm, though still elegant, offered a far more modest lifestyle. For many observers, the move symbolised Andrew's fall from grace, a tangible representation of his diminished status within the monarchy. However, the situation took an even more sensational turn on February 19, 2026, the very day Andrew turned 66. In a historic and startling move, unmarked police cars descended upon the Sandringham estate. Authorities conducted simultaneous searches at both Wood Farm in Norfolk and Royal Lodge in Berkshire. That morning, Andrew was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. He was taken to Eltham Police Station, where he remained in custody for roughly 11 hours before being released under investigation. The news sent shockwaves through the country.
Tonight, a haunted-looking former Prince Andrew released after nearly 12 hours in police custody.
Never before had a sibling of a reigning monarch been arrested. This was an event that had not occurred since the 16th century, when Queen Elizabeth I had her sister Mary detained in 1554. In response to the arrest, King Charles released a public statement emphasising the principle of accountability, saying simply, "The law must take its course." His words were measured, yet the situation within the royal family was anything but calm. Behind the public statement, tensions were rising, and the dynamics between family members were becoming increasingly strained. It was at this critical juncture that Prince William, Andrew's older sister, emerged as a key figure in the unfolding drama. Sources close to the family report that William has been quietly but determinedly advocating for Andrew, making sure that he is treated with basic human decency despite the public scrutiny and legal pressures. She reportedly approached both King Charles and Prince William with concerns about Andrew's mental health, which she feared was deteriorating under the weight of the scandal. Described as a forceful and persistent presence, William has been central to private family efforts to prevent the monarchy from completely abandoning her brother during this turbulent period. Meanwhile, Queen Camilla has allegedly adopted a starkly different approach. Sources suggest that she views any concessions for Andrew as a threat to the monarchy's carefully curated image. She has reportedly expressed astonishment and frustration that William would even consider advocating for him, perceiving it as an unnecessary risk to the institution's reputation. Within palace walls, the disagreement has spilled over into disputes about space, access, and legal rights at the Sandringham estate itself, turning the once peaceful grounds into a stage for family conflict. The clash between William and Camilla illustrates a deep and growing divide within the royal family, one that extends beyond Andrew's fate. On one side is William, striving to maintain compassion and family loyalty, ensuring that her brother's rights and dignity are preserved even as the public eye scrutinises every move. On the other is Camilla, prioritising the monarchy's image and insisting that no accommodation, however humane, should appear to compromise the institution's authority. What actions has Prince William's legal team taken? And what effect could this have on Queen Camilla's summer schedule? Let's find out. Prince William Sandringham Legal moved. Recent reports reveal that Prince William, acting through her legal team, has taken a decisive step to formally secure her family's traditional rights to use a particular wing of the historic Sandringham estate. This action is not a move to claim ownership of property that belongs to King Charles. Rather, it is a careful, legally backed effort to preserve and formalise arrangements that have long existed informally within the royal family. For centuries, large hereditary estates in Britain have operated on a mixture of written law and unwritten understanding. Families with multiple generations often rely on customary agreements or informal traditions to manage how different members use various parts of the property. Over time, these informal understandings can become fragile, especially when expectations shift or personalities clash. When such informal arrangements begin to deteriorate, it is common practice to engage solicitors to put these agreements into official legal form, whether that involves time-sharing schedules, licenses to occupy, or other documented usage rights. According to insiders, this is precisely what has happened at Sandringham in 2026. Prince William's lawyers have stepped in to formally document the family's rights to certain private spaces within the estate. By doing so, they are accomplishing two critical objectives. First, they are creating a legal record that cannot easily be overridden, dismissed, or ignored by the palace. Once an arrangement is officially recorded by legal professionals, it carries a weight and enforceability that informal tradition alone cannot guarantee. Second, the move sends a firm and unmistakable signal within the broader palace network, particularly to Queen Camilla. In essence, Prince William is asserting, "This is my family's territory, and our historical rights here will not be set aside or disregarded." While the action is framed within the bounds of customary estate management, it has a clear undertone of palace politics, a quiet but unmistakable declaration of authority. The timing of this legal maneuver is especially noteworthy. Sandringham House traditionally closes its doors to the public for a brief period in the summer, specifically from July 13th to August 3rd. During these weeks, the royal family typically gathers at the estate for private summer events.
Now to the royal family gathering at the King Sandringham estate,
which are highly cherished for family bonding and long-standing royal tradition. For years, certain wings and rooms within the estate have been used according to informal understandings, allowing members of the royal family to enjoy privacy and personal retreats. However, recent discussions had hinted at the possibility that Queen Camilla might take one of these private wings for an extended personal retreat during this same period. Such a retreat would occur separately from the king, who often spends his summer months at Balmoral in Scotland, maintaining the tradition of alternating locations among royal residences. By acting now, Prince William has effectively preempted any such plan. With her legal team's documentation in place, the spaces traditionally used by her branch of the family are formally recognised as theirs for private use. This makes it legally and practically difficult for anyone, even the Queen, to claim access without negotiation or formal agreement. In the subtle yet complex world of royal estate management, this move is more than a simple administrative step. It is a calculated assertion of influence and a reinforcement of family tradition. It underscores the principle that even within centuries-old institutions like the monarchy, rights and privileges often need to be actively defended and formally maintained, especially when informal understandings begin to fray. Sources familiar with the matter suggest that Queen Camilla is reportedly very displeased with this development, though the palace has chosen not to make any public statement regarding the situation. Royal insiders describe the atmosphere as tense, hinting that the decision has introduced a new layer of friction into the already delicate balance of relationship at the highest levels of the monarchy. This episode illustrates the complex interplay of tradition, legal authority, and personal influence within royal households. On one hand, there is a commitment to preserving long-standing family customs. On the other, there is the unavoidable reality that private rights must sometimes be formalised to protect them from future disputes or reinterpretation. The legal move also highlights a broader trend in how modern royal families handle estate management. In earlier times, unwritten agreements and mutual respect often sufficed to govern private use of family properties. But contemporary circumstances, ranging from media scrutiny and public interest to individual ambitions, have made it increasingly necessary to back up tradition with formal legal documentation. In this context, Prince William's action is not merely about asserting privilege, it is a proactive measure to ensure that her family's rights, cultivated over generations, are clearly recorded and defended. What does Camilla stand to lose? Will William allow her to stay? Let's take a closer look. Camilla's private retreat. Unlike King Charles, whose lifelong bond with land and royal estates forms an essential part of his identity, Camilla has always approached her living spaces differently, where Charles sees properties as extensions of duty and heritage. Camilla has cherished her independence, carving out private retreats where she could simply be herself, free from the constant weight of royal protocol. For decades, her sanctuary was Raymil House, a grand country estate in Wiltshire, purchased for £850,000 during her divorce from Andrew Parker Bowles in 1995.
Andrew and Camilla Parker Bowles, who later divorced.
This house was more than bricks and mortar. It was a personal haven, a place where Camilla could step away from the unending scrutiny of the press and public, shedding the title of Queen Consort or, later, Queen, and simply existing as Camilla. Raymil House was famously elegant, yet intimate, its sprawling gardens and quiet corners offering the perfect refuge. Here, she could host friends, enjoy long walks, and indulge in personal hobbies without the prying eyes of the London social calendar constantly hovering over her life. In short, it was her private kingdom, entirely hers, and a clear symbol of her ability to maintain personal autonomy even within the strict confines of royal life. However, in early 2026, reports began to surface that Camilla had quietly transferred ownership of Raymil House. At first glance, this seemed like a simple administrative move, but in reality, it sparked a wave of speculation. Observers suggested that this transfer signaled a subtle but meaningful shift. Camilla was beginning to more fully integrate her personal residential life into the royal framework, potentially leaving behind the idea of an entirely separate private retreat. It was no longer just about Camilla's private independence. Her living arrangements were now intersecting more visibly with the broader network of royal estates. Adding another layer to this narrative, it was reported that King Charles had purchased a neighbouring property in Wiltshire for £3 million. The proximity of this estate meant that Charles and Camilla's lives were now closely intertwined in the same region, a move that further blurred the boundaries between private life and royal duty. With this arrangement, it became clear that the couple's Wiltshire presence was not only practical, but also symbolically important. It reinforced the unity of the royal household, while still offering Camilla a degree of private comfort. Meanwhile, Balmoral, firmly established as Charles's summer retreat, remained largely his own domain. This left Sandringham emerging as an appealing summer option for Camilla, a place where she could establish a quieter, less conspicuous presence. Sandringham offered both familiarity and discretion. Its expansive gardens were known to be a favourite of hers, and the estate's size allowed for a summer residence that could remain private, shielded from the relentless press coverage that follows the family in London. The location promised a gentle balance, a spot close enough to be part of the royal orbit, but far enough to preserve moments of personal privacy and quiet enjoyment. Yet, recent developments have complicated this picture. The specific wing of Sandringham that Camilla might have considered using is reportedly under legal protection efforts by Prince William's team. This section of the estate carries historical connections to the Prince Royal's family arrangements and has long been used informally by William's household during visits. Over the years, William's family has enjoyed certain spaces at Sandringham with a relaxed, unspoken understanding that allowed them to use parts of the property freely. The current legal intervention by William's lawyers appears to formalise these arrangements, ensuring that her family's rights are recognised and safeguarded. Whether Camilla had concrete plans to occupy this part of Sandringham, or whether this is primarily a preemptive legal measure by William remains uncertain. Nevertheless, the practical consequence is undeniable. The wing that might have served as a low-profile summer sanctuary for Camilla is now effectively off-limits. The door, both literal and symbolic, has been closed, leaving the Queen on the outside, for now at least. What this means in day-to-day terms is that Sandringham, despite its appeal, may not offer Camilla the easy private retreat she had envisioned. So, what do you think about Prince William's lawyer, shutting off a section of Sandringham and preventing Camilla from enjoying her private summer retreat? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe.